All right, this is Jason Talbert. I'm here with Patrick Kennedy, who is running for Congress here in the 2nd Congressional District. Patrick, the first question I always ask people when I sit down with them is just the simplest question. And I think it's the most important question for anybody running for office, and that's, why do you want to be a congressman?
Well, I'm kind of probably because I'm crazy. Some days I wonder why, but it's a tough question. And I've always had a long interest in politics. I grew up in politics. Granddad was a congressman, but that actually turned me away from politics. I went into science and never wanted to see politics again. But strangely, I found myself back into the political arena and working in the Clinton School, mostly working on public service. But I was around politicians every day, and I kind of got that renewed passion and spirit for it. And once you have that passion once, you decide you got to take it and run for office. And I had the passion. I mean, I had the passion to do something, kind of constructive in politics. But I also had some individual motivations as well. I think that especially all of our generation's problems, or especially my generation's problems, and I got tired of sitting back and complaining about it. I got tired of on the sidelines talking about what people should do, and decided to do it myself, despite the long shot of doing something like this. So I packed it up and decided to give it a shot. And every day is a new challenge. I've learned so much during this process because I went in thinking I knew it all. Probably maybe it's a sign of arrogance, but every day I learned something new, realizing that the issues that I thought were important aren't important. The issues that matter are something completely different. So it's been a fun process, ups and downs, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
Sure. Well, that leads me right into my next question for you. I mean, obviously, you left a good job. You're working at the Clinton Library. You left that to run for this. What makes you decide to make that leap of faith?
It was a real tough decision for me, to be perfectly honest, because it was, I'm a pragmatist too, and I wanted to look to see if I had a good chance to win. But also, it was a great job. I mean, if I had just finished my last law school semester and continued on with the Clinton School, and I was thinking, I think 5 years was about my time there anyway, and was looking elsewhere. But I was actually sitting in the flying saucer. I was telling this story last night and having a beer with a friend when I heard about Snyder stepping down, and I was like, oh my God, I've been thinking about running for office. I was like, I think I'm going to do this. And I went back and forth. You go through that exploration process, and it was a rough exploration process. I mean, people were saying that I'm crazy. Obviously, you're too young. These fundraising abilities. But at the end of the day, I thought I was the best candidate on the Democratic side, and I couldn't look myself in the mirror. I was just I'd stay up late because disappointed in the fact that I would be afraid to run because of these overwhelming obstacles that everyone else has put on my shoulders, knowing that I thought and I believed I was the best candidate. So it was a kind of a personal, spiritual process. I mean, it was a difficult process. But I just kind of decided to take that leap of faith, and I'm proud that I did it because it's tough to get out there and to put everything on the line like this. And so, I don't know how it came through. It's just kind of whimsical, and decided that I need to stand up and finally do something about it.
Well, you mentioned your Democrat opponents. Let's get into that. One of your opponents yesterday, Robbie Wills, he put out a job plan, a 5-part job plan. What did you think of his job plan?
Well, I'm happy that he's finally put an issue out there. I'm curious about this election thus far. I have listened to the Republican candidates. They've been extensively putting out issues. Mr. Griffin and Mr. Wallace obviously have been doing that. My Democratic opponents have not really run on any kind of vision, any kind of issues whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And I think that's pretty obvious. So I'm happy that he finally put out one issue to run on. I thought there were some interesting ideas. I thought it was very, very thin. I'd like to know more about how he plans to do this, because I think that when you're looking at a state legislator versus a federal legislator, the process is completely different of articulating and passing laws. It's one idea to say, I want to do this tax credit or that. So I thought it was good ideas. I thought that nothing that was going to blow anyone away. But there's not a lot you can say on a website anyway. But I hope that people start asking the questions about the issues, because, like I said, I appreciate the Republican candidates are taking tough stances. The Democrats are not. So I'm trying to be that one candidate. I think people deserve that.
Right. Well, let's get into what you would do then. Obviously, unemployment is one of the big issues right now. Right. The economy's down. People really care about having a job. Mm-hmm. So what would you do to help create jobs?
Well, I want to look at this kind of dichotomy between job creation and deficit reduction. I think that you have the Democratic job creation in the interim, then you have the deficit reduction. I think you can do both. I think it's about quality of jobs, not quantity of jobs. For example, I do think in the short term we need to focus on job creation, but I don't support another stimulus package. I think that we need to look towards transitioning towards a new quality of jobs, becoming a better exporter. I think obviously this clean energy transition, the clean energy, renewable energy, it presents an opportunity for a new frontier of American innovation. That's 20 years down the line. Until then, we need to look at natural gases. I think that's a good industry in the state that we can promote jobs. I think that actually, if you look at the third highest job creator in the state, it's the arts community, which is shocking to me. And there's a lot of opportunities for arts funding and for cultural and community development in the arts field. You have to get creative on this. Furthermore, I think there are opportunities for community economic development, maybe reviving faith-based initiatives, small grants to rural health centers to do outreach and kind of use existing infrastructure to be efficient, to maximize resource allocation. I think we need to start thinking creatively, but also I think the Republicans are right on as well, is that we can't continue kicking the can down the road any longer on the debt. Every person owes $200,000. And I think the problem with that is, as David Walker, the Comptroller General, said, is that career politicians aren't willing to make the tough decisions for the future. I think there's creative ways such as promoting fiscal responsibility in the schools, perhaps looking at an idea of a federal lottery, which is an optional tax to pay down the deficit. But we can't say that we're going to do short-term job creation as a Democratic Party without putting the deficit and the debt off any longer, because we're not tackling the bigger problem on things.